part of me is like, why am I even talking about this? I was always trying to hang out with the boys and play in the dirt, in the mud with like trucks, and I really liked hanging out with boys. Hello, babies. Do you want to have some breakfast with me? It's Mickey Honeybee. I'm autistic, have ADHD, CPTSD, and if you couldn't tell from my intro, I'm gay, and I'm them they. I just wanted to talk to you this morning while we have breakfast, because me knowing that I'm queer and a gender bender is recent. It's recent news to me. For a long time, I dated guys. Don't recommend dating guys if you are really just in denial about whether or not you like guys, but usually by the time you find out, it's a little too late. So, what I really wanted to talk to you about today is comp het, or compulsory heterosexuality, which is what happened to me. I dated guys for a long time because I was basically influenced by societal norms to believe that the only normal relationship is a heterosexual man and a woman relationship. And it started out that way. It was reinforced really early on in grade school. I don't know if any of you have had like a similar upbringing, but I grew up in the South of the United States, and from like as early as I can remember, like teachers and like adults kind of really drove it into my brain that boys and girls like don't play together, like they don't hang out, they're not friends. I was always trying to hang out with the boys and play in the dirt, in the mud with like trucks, and I really liked hanging out with boys. And every time I tried to hang out with boys on the playground, all of our teachers would come get me and force me to go play with girls because it wasn't appropriate or like right in their mind that I played with boys, because they're like, you're a girl and you play with other girls. And I'm sure they thought that they were doing what was appropriate or what was right, or that they were doing the right thing, but really the only thing they were doing is reinforcing the idea that men and women and girls and boys can't be friends and can't just have like a platonic natural friendship, like a loving friendship, without it leading to dating or they kind of really drove it into my mind, or like hammered it into my mind, that the only reason I should be talking to a boy or hanging out with a boy is if I was like, we were potentially wanting to date or be in a relationship together. Um, which is messed up, to be honest, because that's how, honestly, that's how a lot of women and girls get set up in the future to make horrible mistakes, you know? Because kind of like being sheltered like that, or segregated by gender like that, it kind of denies us like the learning opportunity of like what it's like to just have natural friendships, and to understand what kind of guys you don't like and that you do like. And it makes it easier for toxic relationships to happen, because in my opinion, because if you don't spend a lot of time hanging around guys or hanging around men, you don't really get to learn about their personalities or their toxic behaviors, as well through friendships. And so then how are you supposed to know which one you want to date? Like, which one is the safe one to date? Like, you don't, because you're not allowed to spend any time around them and like learn about like how different their personalities are, and you don't get to see like the difference between one or the other, and really know like which one is like what is good compatibility and what is not good compatibility, because you just have no experience around it. I think that kind of messed things up a little bit in my life, quite a bit. And I really feel like it created a lot of confusion. I would get really confused. Like if I had any kind of feeling towards a guy or towards a boy, in my mind, I thought that meant that I should date them. When in reality, I just wanted to be friends with them. And I wanted to be like them, you know? How are people supposed to learn that when teachers consistently try to segregate playtime, like segregate the genders during playtime? You know, I did in high school. In high school, I started to have more guy friendships. But I was sort of friends with maybe one guy who was probably a little more feminine than usual, which I didn't notice. Um, it makes sense now. Um, they were a little bit more feminine than the average guy that we went to school with. And that should have clued me in a little bit. But, I mean, overall, I just think growing up in the town, in the community that I grew up in, especially the, it was like a very religious area as well, was just very confusing for me, and I just couldn't find myself, and I couldn't learn about myself. Like I actually wasn't allowed to learn these things about myself. I feel like the adults and the teachers did a really good job of confusing me, making me believe I was someone else, and not letting me learn about my true identity, which is really sad. Um, they did such a good job of, you know, detouring me and confusing me, and not letting me understand my true identity, that I in fact got married to a guy. Now I'm divorced. I am a little bit older than you probably think I am. Like, I'm a little regressed, and I'm not going to care about it because it's just a part of the process that I'm going through to catch up and grow. I have to go back to where I was stunted, essentially, where my growth, my emotional and mental growth was stunted. And just like let it naturally progress. I have to catch up to myself. So I do act, look, and sound a little bit younger than most people think I am. And part of that, I think, is also being autistic. For some reason, people with autism, they tend to look a little bit younger to other people. Most people, when they try to guess my age, they're off by more than 5 years in the wrong direction. They think I'm so much younger than I actually am. Actually, how old do you think I am? Like, in the comments, like, how old do you think I am? I'm not going to be offended. I've heard everything, and it's really funny. Maybe I will do an age reveal. I am over 18, just so you know. So don't guess like 15 or something, because then I would be offended. Okay, now all y'all are gonna be down in the comments being like, "You're 15. We know you're 15." I'm not. Part of me is like, why am I even talking about this? And part of me is like, there's a lot of this happening. There are a lot of people who are late in life. Just give me a minute. I was trying to get the words out. It just wasn't happening. There are a lot of people who are like finding out late in life about their true identities, and they've either been in denial because of toxic family, being afraid of what their family would do. Like, I have known people, and I'm pretty sure I've dated people who were so terrified of letting themselves know who they really are, and were in such denial about it because they were afraid of being separated from their family, and their family was toxic. And I don't even think they know. I'm just making assumptions here. But it was really interesting to find that most of the guys that I dated were also in some way kind of gender benders, even if they realized it or not. I always dated really feminine guys, and some of them I have my suspicions about. Some of them I think were in denial about being bisexual, or completely in the closet, like not straight at all. But who knows? Who knows? But why I think this is important is because somehow, like, we found each other, and it was really weird because we were both like that, you know? Like, a couple of the people I have dated, we were both doing the same thing by accident, and we didn't know. Or at least I'm assuming, because of when I think back to it, and now it makes sense. I'm not gonna say that they are or are not for them, because that's for them to decide when they want to decide. And but I have a feeling that some of them were, and I think it was really interesting because we were both like in denial about who we were, and we both like had toxic family and toxic upbringings that kind of forced us to hide our true identities even to ourselves. And we found each other somehow. And I guess it's like we recognized each other, but because we knew, but we didn't know. Can you can you imagine that? Like we knew, but we didn't know. We recognized each other, but we weren't consciously aware that we were similar, like in that way. And just it blows my mind, actually. I don't know what a lot of my exes are doing these days. I don't care. They're doing whatever they're doing. I don't know. It's not my business. I don't know if they've had any epiphanies or realizations or how they feel about themselves or whatever's happening. I'm just living my life over here, focusing on other things like figuring out who I am. Because figuring out who I am and then embodying that and expressing it is way more important to me than trying to figure out what people from my past are doing with their lives and how they feel about themselves and if they've realized anything or had any growth. Like, it's none of my business. I don't care. I don't care. I have my potatoes and I do not care. So if you want to know about my potatoes, they're fried potatoes with garlic, salt, pepper, cumin, and turmeric. They're kind of like curried potatoes, I suppose. And I scrambled some eggs in there with them. Sometimes I like eating eggs plain, but sometimes I have trouble eating eggs by themselves. It just depends on what day it is. It's like a sensory issue that I have with food for my autism, and today I decided to like mix it all together, and it makes me happy. Other days I would be weirded out by the fact that I mix them together. It really just depends on what day it is. And then you also saw that I have my orange because I'm trying to take better care of myself. And honestly, I will eat chicky nuggies every day of my life if I could, for every meal. I know some of you can relate. So this is my attempt at trying to do better about that. I'm also gluten-free, so they're expensive chicky nuggies, okay? They're like $10 a bag for me is like that's like 2 servings. $10 a bag for 2 servings of chicky nuggies, okay? That's expensive. They're really good and I like them. But my bank account does not agree with these life choices. So I'm trying. I've been in a really bad place up until very recently, and it's been really hard. And the more stressed out I become, oh my god, am I gonna cry? Please no.